Dig it! Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. We're excited that you've joined us as we have a conversation.
It's time to join the conversation.
Welcome. What a great intro. I love it every time I hear it. All right, my name is Troy. I'm your host today. We got a fantastic episode for you. Glad you could join us. I'm here with Chet Sears and Matt Amos. Today we're going to talk about what's on Matt's mind. We're going to do a top three that is top three secular bands that are actually Christian. And then we're going to hear a good word from Chet. But to start us off, Matt, what's on your mind?
I am officially a YouTube professional.
All right, let's hear it.
So while I was gone.
Is it from being a star on the Hardheaded podcast?
Yeah. And?
No. This actually does it have anything to do with this podcast? Maybe a little bit. We talked about it.
You about to come clean?
What?
You said while I was gone.
Yeah, while I was gone, you talked about Troy mixed up the meaning of a top three.
Yeah.
And went, what was it, the most impactful,
Wait, you're like a YouTube search professional?
Shh. Let me talk, Chet. Don't interrupt me.
I'm waiting.
So, but it was most impactful things to change society.
Yes.
And he went with things that if they were
Things that if you do this, it will change society.
yeah, instead of like historic events that changed
Yeah.
society, which I thought was the intent.
Thank you.
Because as you say it, the most not that would change society.
That's the best running team to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, then there you go.
So
Whatever.
anyway, but one of those was you'd mentioned or somebody mentioned the internet.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was Beef or whether it was Troy. I can't remember which one of you said the internet. And as I was listening to that, I was like,
That was me.
that would definitely change society, but it would definitely hinder some of the learning because I use YouTube for learning lots of stuff.
Yep.
And if you remember a while back, I was like, always looking for those ways to always be improving yourself or learn something new or whatever. And I followed through with it. I got a welder.
All right.
Nice.
So
What's his name? How much an hour do you pay for him?
I don't, it's me.
Yeah?
And so I basically taught myself
MIG? TIG?
MIG, but it's a multi-process welder. So it will do MIG, TIG, stick.
Yeah.
And what's the other one?
Well, let me see some of your art.
I don't have any yet.
I can't see a bead?
No, you can't see a bead. But I went through and I was like, I watched all these videos on
bead. You know what I'm talking about?
I do,
Okay,
actually.
good. I just want to make sure.
Watched all these videos on
We're
YouTube.
welders over here.
You're not,
I'm not. And
No, I'm not either.
because we talked about that.
Yeah, I know.
So,
That's something I'm.
the other one's flux. So it'll do flux.
Yeah.
But so I got all these videos on YouTube that I was watching. There's this one guy who was just really educational on like every video that he did. And it's called Tim Welds. And that's his YouTube channel. And at the end of every episode or whatever little video that he does, he says, hey, I've got, if you guys are interested, he goes, I've got these videos. I've got more on these instructional videos that you can buy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll go check it out. And because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to welding, but I was like, I feel pretty confident that I can do it after listening to this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then there's another channel that's like Weld with Me, and they'll just do like a live thing and then you weld together. And I was like, dude, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So I got to thinking, I was like, man, if we did away with YouTube and the internet, I'd still be stupid when it came to welding. Like I wouldn't know how to do any of this or even where to start. And so then that kind of helped me narrow down like what kind of machine I wanted to get. And then looking at the helmets, which those have changed a lot, like since I was a kid, because I remember, putting on that old welding helmet and I mean, putting the visor down and then flipping it up, putting it down, flipping it up. And I was like, that's, what are you supposed to, how are you supposed to do it? And how do you, I mean, once you close that down, you can't see until you light, until you strike the arc. And then it's like, what do you do? But these new helmets, I mean, I don't even understand how they work. It's like magic, but apparently just as soon as you strike the arc, it darkens. And
oh, cool.
So you don't have to touch anything.
No, you're supposed to go like this.
Yeah. And then slam it down.
Yeah.
But see, that would give me a headache, after
–
twice doing that just because I've had so many concussions. But so started looking at that and I was like, well, I don't even know how those work. So then guess what? YouTube video. How does an auto darkening welding helmet work? Because apparently there's got to be a millisecond of light, that bright light that's hitting your eyes. No.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy. Like the different lenses that they have lined up with each other and that counteract until the darkening, which is basically like the same concept as
the transition lens.
Well, no, as your like a calculator. Like as soon as you press the button in that number, that's basically what that auto darkening helmet's doing. It's sensing that light and it just darkens, and then you can set the levels of how dark you want it and how fast you want it, and then how fast it comes back after the arc goes off, and it was crazy the amount of stuff I learned just off of YouTube. And made me feel confident enough that I was like, you know what? I actually don't need to go to school to learn this. I can get this now and I can do this at my house. And then if I do have questions, I know some guys that are really good at welding, like before I start, welding on the car, cause I did this all for the Lincoln. But before I start,
that would make a good t-shirt. I did this for the Lincoln.
Yeah. That ought to be the sticker on the welder. Cause it wasn't cheap. But before I start welding on the car, because even now I've watched a ton of videos on, welding sheet metal and, doing it slow so you don't warp the panel. So, whatever. And I know enough to be dangerous now, I think. But before I start welding on a classic car, I would ask for help from somebody that's done it. Be like, hey, how do I get this panel? How do I cut this and match this to where, it's going to look good and cover up and not be all crazy when you go to paint this 19-foot slab on this side. I don't want any waves. I want it all perfect. But so that's basically how I've been a YouTube professional.
At what point? I thought you started your own YouTube channel and you were.
No, he would have said influencer.
I would not have said that. At all.
That was one of my good words while you were out.
What, influencer?
Yeah.
It was good.
At what I think what the audience wants to know right now after listening to your story, at what point can Chet bring stuff over to your house for you to weld? That's what internet land wants to know. The hard heads out there is like, hey, Chet's got that trailer and he needs that thing welded on it. Can Chet bring it over and have you do that?
I would say it would depend on what needed to be welded.
A spare tire mount.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm well more confident that I could do that. And it's just a matter of, is it going to be pretty?
I care about function.
It'll hold.
Yeah.
But I'm still working on getting my technique to where it's everything.
Well, you need to practice on
to
things
where they
like
call
trailers.
They call it stacking dimes.
Yeah.
I'm not stacking dimes yet.
Right.
I can weld you a flat line that's going to hold, but it's not pretty.
Yeah.
But it's going to, and it's funny because I haven't liked any welding pages or anything like that. They just all of a sudden, when I was searching for welders, they started popping up.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And, one of them was, it's a welding professional page, and they have these pictures of welds, and they'll be like, $60 an hour, $30 an hour. This is a $10 an hour, whatever. And they just kind of make fun of each other going back and forth. But in the comments, you can actually find out how much a person with that skill level could probably make an hour if they were welding. But
yeah.
yeah, right now I wouldn't make hardly any money as a welder, but I'm looking to perfect my technique. But I've learned all those lessons online, so all I got to do is just practice. And now that I know, how to do it, I actually know how to turn it on and feed wire. I mean, thanks to YouTube.
Yeah.
Because without YouTube, I never would have approached doing this, because I don't like asking people to teach me how to do that type of stuff. I prefer to just kind of learn it, at my own pace on my own, because I don't know, I learn better that way. I think I take it more seriously when I'm researching the stuff myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks to Tim Welds. They're on YouTube for essentially teaching me how to weld.
You have a lot of fun learning stuff. I mean, is that
type of stuff? Yeah.
you're not just watching videos and learning, you're actually learning and then going out and doing.
Applying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like to watch something just to have the knowledge, I guess. I want to be able to apply it.
That's awesome.
So that's been, I mean, and of course it's opened up a whole new world, because it's like, man, now I can make shelves. I could do, there's so many things you can do. You can create with being able to weld. And it's something I've always wanted to learn to do. I just never had the opportunity to the ease of opportunity, I guess, to do it. This was it. So that's what's been on my mind.
That's enjoyable. I'm excited about it. I can never know too many welders, because it is something that I will never.
I've always needed one. Not often, but when you need one, you need one.
Yeah, I went through a buddy of yours to get a chair welded one time.
I remember that.
Because I'm like, man, I don't know, I can't do this. Like, there's.
Yep.
I need somebody.
Well, and I had the same buddy weld my trailer. I don't know, it's been years back, but now one of the tabs that he had welded on, just from wobbling on the back, it finally broke loose, and it's like, man, I need to get that fixed. And it's been sitting there for 3 years.
Yeah.
So now I got to go out. I'm going to take my welder out.
Man, if you just had a shop, you could put that in.
It's getting.
How's that coming?
They start Monday.
Start dirt work?
Yep.
They're going to build you a pond too?
Nope.
Should.
Come on, mate.
No pond.
Why don't you want a pond?
I do, but we don't.
That's a lot of money.
Where I'm putting it, we don't have to move dirt like that.
Ah, gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for that, Matt. We're going to take a break and come back with the top 3 secular bands that are actually Christian.
At Admiral's Pennant, our mission is to offer the latest and refined, high-quality masculine products and services to the modern gentleman, as well as provide him with the tools and products necessary to look, act, and feel confident in his appearance and social interactions. Check it out at admiralspennant.com. Without it, you might as well shave.
And we're back. All right. Chet, since you came up with this top 3, you want to give the...
I didn't come up with this. Did that come up?
You did come up with this.
Yeah, you want to give our audience a little... like where your head was at?
Well, just it doesn't matter for both of you violators of what.
But I know that our listeners like to make their own top 3 from what we're going to talk about. So
there are some bands that are out there that are just all over secular radio or in secular circles that are not winning Dove Awards because they're not Christian. But if you dig into their lyrics and or backgrounds, you will find that Christianity is a thread woven through the tapestry of the songs they have released. How do you like that? Huh?
All right.
Huh? Is that how I explained it earlier?
No, that's not how you explained it earlier, but the woven through the tapestry is pretty fruity.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fruity? I would call that descriptive.
Yeah.
Almost like a songwriter of lyrics that may be in a band.
Wow. Why don't you go first?
Okay. And I'm going to violate my rule on the first one.
Oh, okay.
Just so you're wondering. The Killers. Do you know the band The Killers?
Yes.
You know the band The Killers.
Somebody told me.
Not just that. I mean, there's more songs. Did a little digging here. Dude's Mormon. So not so much Christian. Yeah.
Religious.
But definitely some religious themes throughout some of their lyrics. Not all of their lyrics, and I'm not necessarily.
Is this your number
endorsing
3?
them. Yeah, number 3.
Or an honorable mention?
No, number 3.
You went with a Mormon?
Huh? That's what I'm saying. Go ahead and argue if you want.
It's
Go
freaking
ahead.
ridiculous.
I left some low-hanging fruit out there for you guys because I figured you wouldn't have done any research.
Well, I've done some research.
Okay.
I didn't have to do any research.
Number 2, because if you name any country music artist, they got started singing at the choir in the church.
Nope. Not one country music artist.
Oh, that's awesome. Number 2, Mumford & Sons. Did you guys know this?
I did.
Yeah. Did you even know who Mumford & Sons is?
They might even might even be on my top 3.
Oh, yeah. But like Holland Road, do you know Holland Road? That song about Holland Road is about I think his youth pastor. But you know, kind of he's struggling with some stuff, and he like shut him down instead of helping uplift him. And
his parents were evangelists, I
I
think.
don't know. Probably.
I think I read that somewhere.
Number 1, 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
And that is like a major, there is some overt lyrics in 21 Pilot songs. I
got a friend that his whole family, they love 21 Pilots.
now I could put on a 21 Pilots album, and aside from my wife, you know, me and my kids, I'll dig it. Yeah, it's
Yeah. My whole family digs it, even the wife.
let me find I can't believe I didn't look this up.
But yeah, my buddy, he's like, you can find it in every one of his songs. You can find
Almost. Yeah, but yeah, you're right.
the theme. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me think of the song that I was.
All right. Why don't
Yeah, Matt, you go, and I'll
Matt
come back
go
to it.
while you're thinking about it? What do you got, Matt?
What?
It's your turn for the top 3.
Oh,
Jeez.
Hang on, I'm looking stuff up on the internet real quick. What? You talking to me?
no. I already had mine done. Number 3, Alice Cooper.
Now, was he?
Did not start out that way.
I don't think he even wrote music after his conversion.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He wrote back in 2019. But you can follow his music, and you can see a distinct turn when he converted. And just for example, so he's got a song, hold on, that was, I think it's 2017. No, this was, I'm sorry, 1994.
I loved his cameo in Wayne's World. It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yep. But the song is called "You're My Temptation."
Okay.
And it says, don't touch your lips. Don't wear your hair like that. I feel your presence all around me. Don't get too close. Don't move your eyes like that because they're deep enough to drown me. It don't get hot like this in heaven. You fool me with your angel face. Your master knows where I'm my weakest. Mercy, please. I'm on my knees. You're my temptation. Measure my faith. The devil's awake. He knows you're my temptation. Don't call my name. And then it just, let's see.
All right, I'll allow it. Alice Cooper.
He knows you're my temptation. Mercy, please. I'm on my knees. You're my temptation. Go away in heaven's name. You're my temptation. Go away. Just go away. My dark sensation. But he's got a lot of songs like that. And then he's very outspoken in his interviews about his faith and being faith-based in rock and roll and then making that transition himself. And so his interviews are really, really good if you ever just kind of sit down and watch his stuff.
Yeah.
Number 2, Evanescence.
I
think there was some renunciation in there.
Yeah, that's debatable if they stayed Christian.
Well, I don't know if they stayed, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
the songs that...
They started out as a Christian group, I believe.
Did they? I didn't
Or
know.
some of the band members, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if they did or not. I just remember back...
Well, the lead singer and the guitarist, they met at Bible camp.
Oh, if you've been at Bible camp.
And they were even marked to Christian rock audiences before they did an abrupt about face. Yeah, so I don't know.
So they're not anymore, but they were.
But, I mean, they could be. The quote she's saying is, "Can we please just skip the Christian thing? I'm so over it. It's the lamest thing. I fought that from the beginning. I never wanted to be associated with it. It's a Ben thing. It's over." So it must have been his thing and they broke up or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's a hard category. A really hard category.
And I mean, the next one, who knows? They may have renounced too, but at the time, POD.
I think they're still good, but they've always been a Christian band and labeled a Christian band.
They weren't labeled a Christian band. They were all over secular radio.
They were all over secular. But
I think they very well fall within line of what the top 3 is asking for. Parking means.
all right.
No, but I'm there.
Chet,
Mormon church.
Chet will allow it.
Mormon church. Yeah, man. Come on.
Chet will allow it, I guess.
My "come on" sounded like a POD song. Anyway, I'm with him because I said Killers. I could have said U2, but I didn't.
I would never even have known that. U2?
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't listen to any of their music.
There was a quote, I don't remember what it was, when he first, I think they were starting out as a Christian band. They were debating it, and 3 out of the 4 band members said, if we just play not Christian stuff and what people want to hear, we'll be a bigger we'll be a bigger rock band.
Yeah.
So if we go secular, we'll be bigger. And so the 4th was like, all right, let's do it. And that's what they did.
But you get into some of their lyrics, it's evident.
Yeah. And I think later in Bono's life, he's kind of regretted doing that just because he's getting older. Some of the interviews I've seen with him, but I would
in
say
the name of love, do it all in the name of love. Hey, that actually talks about Jesus in one of the verses in that song.
I never was listened to U2,
Yeah.
and then when they forced their music to me on iTunes,
Apple forced their music on you.
yeah, I mean, and awesome for them to do that.
Yeah.
So everybody had an album on their phone already. Great, but
that album wasn't even that good though.
No, it wasn't.
If they'd have put the Joshua Tree on there, that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. No complaints. All right, I'm gonna go back. "Ode to Sleep" by 21 Pilots.
That's a fantastic song.
Multiple songs, but this is the one I think it's a little bit really clear. The start of the day when we put on our face a mask that portrays that we don't need grace on the eve of a day that's bigger than us, but we open our eyes because we're told that we must. And the trees wave their arms and the clouds try to plead, desperately yelling, there's something that we need. I'm not free. I asked forgiveness 3 times, same amount that I denied. I 3 times MVP'd this crime. I'm afraid to tell you who I adore, won't tell you who I'm singing towards. Metaphorically, I'm a whore, and that's denial number 4. So this is actually a verse about him not being overtly Christian in all of his stuff, which is pretty interesting. And then they have a song, "Trees," that I consider a praise song. It's
that's a fantastic song.
Anyway,
what's the group?
21 Pilots. You would not like them because you have no taste in current music.
You would
have
like
great taste in.
I think Matt would like him.
Let me see. 21.
No. Spell it out. 21.
TWE.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Hey, while you're looking that up, I'll go with my
Let's
top
go
3.
with your top 3, Troy. I think that's a great idea.
I had Mumford on there, but I changed it since you had Mumford on yours, and I went with the Avett Brothers.
Okay.
I think it's undeniable that they have some faith in their lyrics. It's very good.
Yeah, they're getting away from it.
Maybe,
but I'm with you.
I haven't heard any renunciations.
No, I'm with.
Is that a word?
Yeah, renunciations.
Yeah. Number 2, Flyleaf.
Never heard of that group. Have I?
Probably. when they first came out, they were always pretty heavy
Do me a favor.
metal.
Can you sing one of their songs right now?
Oh,
Heavy metal? Never mind. That's not singing. That's
she was a screamer.
yeah.
Yeah, lead singer's a woman. I read her autobiography. It's pretty fantastic.
So no kidding here. You listen to a lot of metal or heavy, whatever.
I'm not like a screamo fan though. I like metal.
Well, where do you go to get that on the radio? Can you? Is there
Flyleaf? Their most popular song was all over secular radio when they came out.
Well, I don't listen to radio.
But
I don't
they
listen
were
to music. I listen to talk radio.
Yeah. I mean, now with Apple Music, that's where I listen to everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But Flyleaf, their song was called. It was named after the girl that was shot for her faith at the Columbine.
Oh, no way.
Cassie was
Yeah.
her name. The name of the song's Cassie.
Should if I'm going to listen to one song to say, hey, am I going to give this band a shot? Should that be the one?
It's probably too heavy for you, but yeah.
But I mean, all their stuff is heavy.
No, I mean they get. I mean that's just a really heavy song. A lot of there's some other stuff that's not quite as heavy that's on their albums, like their the last album that they did with Lacey Strum as the lead singer because she retired, I guess back in 2018.
Wait a minute, you can retire from.
Well, she had a baby and she was like, "I'm quitting the band."
Because like the Rolling Stones are still working.
I know, but they replaced her with a new.
You could choose to retire. Like
she did.
Apparently, I thought you were like enslaved to performing for the rest of your life.
She chose to retire, and then she popped up as a special guest singer on a song. Secular dude, I can't remember what I was listening to the other day.
Yeah.
And that popped up. I was like, "Who's singing with?" I recognized that, and it was her.
Cool.
Man, I'll have to look that up now. But yeah, anyway, I love them because they came out, and I've always been. Like through my conversion, whole music thing, back in my late 20s, like I hated the term Christian band. I always thought it limited when bands like Flyleaf got labeled as a Christian band. It limited their influence in the secular community because they were like, "Oh, it's a Christian band." A lot of people didn't want to listen to them, and that like she came out saying, "I'm sick of being labeled a Christian band just because we're all Christian." And like y'all are labeling us this, and now we're not getting played on secular radio.
Yeah.
And she came out vocal about it and was pissed, and I loved it. So anyway, definitely Flyleaf on the list.
Okay.
And then number one for me is Demon Hunter.
Mm-hmm. I would have guessed that.
They are fantastic. I think they may have always been labeled a Christian band. But they kind of
they get radio play, or they're in the.
They do get some secular radio play, but they're kind of on the same wave as Flyleaf. Like, yeah, they're believers, but they don't want to be they don't want their music labeled that way because they want more influence. Well, and they go on they go on bar band tours, and
it's really interesting. I think when you get to where else? What other industries does a labeling, oh, you're a believer, impact where they view your art?
Yeah, you could TV and music.
What? But really, TV? Are there believers that are actors that are just believers that are actors and they get good gigs?
I mean, I think with the whole Angel Studios thing, I don't know. I guess they kind of started that on their own. It's been more in music. Yeah. You kind of get labeled and you get tossed to this category.
You get in a category that
over here.
Yeah, but I mean, like he's a Christian manager. Like, I mean, oh, Troy, that Trussell Media Company. Oh, he's a Christian. That Christian video company that does weddings and corporate videos. Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid. Like,
yeah, I'm with you. And the other thing that this is allowed, so we're talking about it from the secular side in the play there, whereas there are a lot of people that claim the Christian label and their music sucks and their lyrics aren't biblical, and we don't really know by their behaviors and their lack of understanding of the Bible that they're actually Christian. So
true.
There's two sides of that coin, and both of them suck, in my opinion.
I agree. Thoughts, Matt?
Nope.
You download all of 21 Pilots catalog?
No, but I did know Cancer.
From
21 Pilots.
yeah.
I've-
But I mean, from how I know that's their song, but how did you know? How did you first hear about it?
I think I had my iTunes on what just play,
Yeah.
and that was one of the songs or something like that. And then because the bass on that thing was incredible.
Dude.
That's one of their darkest songs, and it was just a
Oh, it's super
single.
dark. Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
a single that came
Yeah.
out recently. Yeah,
Well, 2016.
Dude, they just did MTV Unplugged.
I heard it.
Yeah?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But
they
that's the
didn't.
only song I've really heard.
I
from
liked
them.
his caveat at the very beginning. It was like, okay, yeah, we're really not unplugged.
We're totally plugged.
We're totally plugged into everything because that's the instruments we play. But
The band is 2 dudes.
they're brothers, aren't they?
No, nowhere near it.
They're not.
No.
Oh, I thought they were.
You go back to
They're
their
cousin. Are they cousins?
no.
Oh,
You
I
go back
thought
to
they
their
were related.
first album. Tyler Joseph was the only guy. There were 3 others, and then they all quit. And then he picked up his drummer, and they have become like brothers because it's just them 2.
Yeah.
But
And that album with the Ode to Sleep is on, that's their grandfather's, isn't it, on the cover?
on the cover,
yeah. That's pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
Columbus, Ohio, where my mom's from.
So my kids' favorite song, they always tell me to play Guns for Hands when we
Yeah.
get in the car because it's
Yeah.
like nostalgia for them. Because I played it for them, taking them to
It's also
like
kind of deep
second and
for young kids.
Oh yeah, they love it though.
Yeah.
And they saw the album cover and I was telling them about it and they were like, "Oh, wow, to get Granddaddy and Pawpaw to take a picture." I'm like, "That's not a bad idea. We got to
Yeah.
do that." So
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
All right. What do we have next? What's the
Oh,
agenda?
good word from you.
good word for me? Let me see if I
Hit
can
it.
pull it out. I've been looking for too much stuff. So, I don't know if I've talked about this on the, I think I did have a passage from Job a couple episodes ago.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but in my class at church, we're going through the book of Job, which has been phenomenal. I've learned a lot. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in Job in all of my studies, and so to bring you guys up to where this is really important, where it'll drive it home. We know that a lot of bad things happen to Job through a discussion between God and the accuser, and through that discussion, God told Satan, go after him, see what happens. And so, Job lost his family, Job lost his wealth, and then a little bit later, the accuser and God have another discussion. Then Job loses his health. Going through all of this, and it's a set amount of time, like months. So it's not like a brief day. Everything's bad and I feel sick. It's months of time. And Job has some friends that show up and mourn with him. They spend 7 days. Job does not utter a word, and he's got open sores, worms growing on him, pus oozing out of everything. He's lost everything. It's a horrible situation. And he has some friends that show up, 3 of them specifically that start in kind of Job chapter, I don't know, it's around 10. Job's quiet for 7 days. They're with him for 7 days, and they're quiet. Job speaks up and is like, why am I even alive? I wish I was never born. And then it's just friend number 1, Job, you suck. This is why this is happening. And then Job defends himself. And then friend number 2 is like, well, this is why I think this is happening. And then Job defends himself. And then friend number 3 speaks up, and then Job defends himself. And then friend number 1 starts again. Then Job defends him over and over and over again. And they're giving him some, what's really interesting is, like if we read through the book of Proverbs, there are things there that say, if you do evil things, bad things are going to happen. I'm summarizing. And we could all argue that's a biblical thing to say. Well, Troy, if you're going to live a lifestyle like that, horrible things are going to happen to you. Like if you continue down this path of this, Matt, you continue to chew tobacco, there's a possibility that your lip is going to fall off. Those kinds of things. So there's some biblical truths in statements like that. These friends took those biblical truths around the scenario of what Job was going through. And Job's like, why did my kids die? And one of his friends was like, because your kids were evil. Like, that's why they died. They were evil in the sight of God, and God killed them. And then why did this happen? Well, Job, you've got sin in your life. The reason this all happened to you is because you have sin in your life that you haven't addressed. Well, if you go back to Job chapter 1, Job was a righteous man, right? But their understanding of the scripture was only bad things can happen to people that do bad things. So if good is going on, then everything should be good. And if something really, 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 really bad happens, it's your fault because you did something that brought this upon yourself. Now, we know there are consequences to our actions, but we also know what's happening in Job is not because Job did something. It's because, we get really deep, it's because Satan approached God and said, there's nobody that's good on the earth. And God said, have you looked at my servant Job? Like, yeah, there is. Go look at this guy. And then Satan's like, you have a hedge of protection around him, and that's why he worships you, is because everything's good. And he's like, make it bad and watch what happens. So this isn't Job doing anything to have all this happening, but all of his friends are saying that, Job, you did something wrong. Your kids did something wrong. That's why you lost your livestock, your wealth, your health, and all of this. Now, if you inverse that, good things are going to happen to you if you do these things. This is the opposite. What's happening in Job with his friends is the opposite of the prosperity gospel. Right? You do bad things will happen. Well, if you do good things are going to happen. Total misrepresentation of Scripture. Total misrepresentation of the facts of what's going on here. So what happens in Job chapter 42 is a stern rebuke. And so God rebukes Job, and Job repents. And then God turns to the three friends. Eliphaz is the first one, the first friend that was mentioned. And so in Job chapter 42, verse 7, and so it was after the Lord had spoken these words to Job that the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, this is a quote from God, my wrath is aroused against you and your two friends. You have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has. Now, therefore, take of yourselves, and he gives them an opportunity to repent. But could you imagine the words, the God speaking these words to you? My wrath is aroused against you. Another way of phrasing that in different translations, you have angered me. That would be a very, very bad position to be in.
Precarious, some would say.
Yes.
Yes.
And not because these guys were unknowing of Scripture or of teachings, because we're going back in the Old Testament here, right? So
yeah, they might not have had a scroll in front of them, but yeah, they
not because that they were unknowing. It's because the application of what they were saying was totally not the situation that was going on. So you're misrepresenting what biblical instruction is. And what is God's answer to that? You have made me angry.
Right.
So if you get into, and there's plenty of passages, and we're not going to go into my whole Sunday school lesson that I gave on this a couple of weeks ago, but if you're going to talk about what's going on in the Bible, you're putting yourself in a position that is for more scrutiny than just being, right? In fact, in the book of James, it discourages people from teaching the Bible because you're going to be held to a higher account, and you may not want to bring that burden on yourself. So if you think of, and there's not that many where God comes out openly, audibly, and speaks to a group of people and says, you have made me angry. But when he did here in Job, it's because they misrepresented what the Bible's teachings were. So take note that you do not want to anger God by telling someone, this is what the Bible is telling you to do, and this is what the situation is, and this is why it happened, when you don't know what that is. Because that's exactly what they did here. They did not know that God and Satan had a conversation about Job. They did not know that God allowed everything that happened to happen. They had no clue that that was going on. Yet they argued. And by the way, from chapters, let's just say chapter 10 through chapter 40 is nothing but them arguing with Job to tell him how bad he was and why he brought this upon himself. And as their rebuttals go on, their words get shorter, that they're not as long, but their intensity gets greater. So they actually get more short with him. Look, you're not getting it, dummy. This is why this happened. The reason your kids died is because they were evil kids. Like, I mean, could you imagine that's how you're consoling your friend in this, you know?
Yeah.
But they were fully comfortable saying that kind of stuff because, you know, if you're evil, you die. You know, bad things happen to bad people. You do bad things, there's consequences. And they were unaware of what's going on in the spiritual realm. So I think we need to be careful to what's going on that we may not know about and prayerfully approach individuals with counsel that is not definitive, as if you know exactly what's going on, or you know exactly what the Bible says in this given scenario because, you know, this happened because of that. We know, and sorry, I'm not saying you can't say that, you know, the Bible calls such and such sin. Well, if the Bible calls such and such sin, but you shouldn't be saying, well, because that happened, there's probably some sin in your life that you haven't addressed, right? How do you know?
Well, yeah, because you did that, that's why you have this.
Yeah. And if you're coming from a place of an authority in Scripture and that's what happened, you could be putting yourself in a situation where God's going to say,
I am angry at you,
or my wrath is aroused against you. Don't do that.
That would not be good.
Did I sum that up into one word? Did I?
Wrath.
Or
precarious.
Aroused anger. I could use two words because
precarious situation.
Anyway, that's my good word.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah, we went through Job back when I was still in Shreveport in our Sunday school class. Just remember what I took away from it was basically what you're saying. Like, don't speak like you know everything, because Job's friends knew everything and they were completely wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Don't misrepresent the word.
And if you go back, he gave them a list of things to do to repent, and later, same chapter 42, they did as the Lord commanded. Like,
good for them.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yep.
Message received.
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.